At 5, it has been 2 months exactly since the massive power outage that crippled downtown South Bend during one of the busiest weekends of the year. Talking Notre Dame St. Mary's graduation ceremonies. Of course, you'll remember this. Still a lot of unanswered questions, though, from business owners and residents. So Indiana Michigan Power held a meeting with them today to try to explain what happened during that blackout. WSBT's Chang joins us now. Annie, we now know, the answer to at least one of the big questions.
Yeah, Jennifer, we now know what caused the fire that led to this extensive outage. I&M's president says it was an old lead-covered cable that failed and overheated. It melted holes in that cable, spreading heat to a much bigger primary cable next to it. He says the company is doing everything in its power to make sure history doesn't repeat itself, but some business owners aren't buying it.
When the power went out just after midnight on May 16th, Gavin Green had 94 residents to worry about, most of them elderly.
We have 100 refrigerators, 100 kitchens, we have 3 elevators, so it was definitely a learning experience.
So Green attended Wednesday's meeting with I&M officials to find out more and says he's optimistic about their efforts.
Short term and long term, I think they're doing everything that they can, and it's great.
I&M President and CEO Paul Chodak explained to Green and 24 other business owners that about 10% of downtown's manholes are still at risk for overheating. Now, crews are working to identify those transformers and find solutions to fix them.
We'll be doing some things starting today to mitigate that risk of a failure again. And then going forward, we'll continue to come up with additional engineering solutions.
Green's confident, but Sean McCormick says he's heard these promises before.
They've been saying that for years and years. They're always updating the equipment. They're always rebuilding vaults. They're always doing something.
McCormick's bar isn't big enough to use a generator, so Sean lost thousands of dollars in business.
5, 6, 7 grand maybe. On a really good weekend like that, sure.
A loss that he's chalking up to an unreliable power grid. And even I&M officials admit May's outage was not the first and will not be the last.
We're never going to get to a system that will never fail. Things happen.
Now, I asked I&M officials about the 2001 power outage. The company spent about $20 million to repair the system after that happened. But Chodak says the issue from 2001 is different from what happened this past May. It was an old cable, and they're now working to replace all of those.
So it was the system last time. Now it was a cable.
Versus one cable that overheated.
And did all of that on one of the most important weekends for South Bend.
That's right.
Okay, so how much has the repair work cost I&M?
Well, I&M officials say they don't have a price tag yet, not an official amount. That's still in the works, but on top of all that happened in May, they still have to factor in new repairs that are starting today.
It's not going to be cheap for them to fix all of that when they do finally come up with a price tag.
Absolutely.
Hopefully they can get the grid up to date, though. It's old, I guess. These cables are old.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Annie, thank you very much. Well, police need your